So why are some people able to get results like this, making hundreds of dollars a day and thousands of dollars a month, while others struggle to make even their first sale? I've now helped over 5,000 people make their very first dollar online. And some of those people have gone on to make tens of thousands of dollars a month, but even more than that have failed. So why are some sellers able to make sales straight away while others end up in my comments section telling me the whole thing doesn't work? Success isn't as random as it seems. And although it sometimes looks that way, there's always something in your control that you can fix to make success happen. So today I want to share with you the 7 mistakes that I always see beginners making that causes them to fail instead of getting to a point like where I got to, making multiple 6 figures in profit each year. But before we dive in, I want to share with you a calculation that you can use to reframe what it takes to be successful. This is an income calculation, and it takes into account your catalog size, the amount of sales that you make per item in your catalog per month, and the profit margin that you make on each sale. When you modify any of these 3 levers, you can see how it affects your total monthly income. So if you have 100 products that each sell 15 times a month at a $7 profit, that's all it takes to reach the $10,000 per month mark. You can modify any of these 3 levers to see how it affects your income. So for example, if we double the catalog size, you can see how it doubles your income. If you double the profit that you make per sale, you can see it double your income as well. When you reverse engineer what it takes to actually reach your income goals, it actually makes it easier because then you have something to work towards. This is the shortcut to success because it shows you exactly what you need to hit your goals, and this formula shows you how to figure that out. But that brings us to the first major mistake on the list, which is not tracking your competitors. Your competitors are your biggest advantage in this business model. It's like being able to look over and see exactly what's working right now in their shops for the product that you're trying to sell. Why would you open up a shop and choose a product, create designs for that product, list it for sale, and then do that over and over again when you can just look at exactly what customers are already buying? You shouldn't try to build a print-on-demand shop without at least 3 to 5 competitor shops that you can reference. You don't want to have to guess what mockups to use or how to style a design. Your competitors are already making sales and they've already done all the testing for you. This is one of the easiest changes you can make, simply studying competitor shops. The way that I do it is creating a list of 3 to 5 competitor shops selling the product I want to sell. Now, you do want to run the numbers on these shops to make sure that they're running profitably, but then I'll save them so that I can reference them as I'm growing my business. So if you're selling mugs, you want to find 3 to 5 reference shops that are also selling mugs that you can use as inspiration. When you spy on what your competitors are doing, you'll get ideas that you can use in your own shop. You'll get ideas for niches to target, you'll see what mockups they're using, and you'll even be able to see what keywords they're using to drive sales to those listings. And assuming those shops are doing well, this is like getting the answers to a test in school. If someone is already doing well, you have a huge advantage in being able to study what they did right. Most beginners don't have specific shops they can point to as direct competitors. Beginners create products based on what they think is going to do well, instead of basing it on what customers are actively buying. Now, the reason you want to have 3 to 5 shops on your competitor list at a minimum is so that you can get ideas and inspiration on what's working. You can ensure that that type of product is actually selling well, but also having more than one reference competitor shop helps you avoid copying anyone individually. If you're only referencing ideas from one shop, you'll almost always end up copying them directly. But when you reference a niche from one shop, a mock-up from another, and a design idea from the third, you're mixing 3 successful elements into one place, creating something original. This is definitely not about copying, and if you're paying attention, you'll understand that. It's about learning what's working and why, so that you can create original products that don't completely flop. Steal like an artist. Remix successful elements from multiple shops into something original. Which leads me to the next mistake that almost every beginner makes: not making enough designs. Now, this is the point where a lot of people just click off the video because they don't want to hear the truth. If you hear nothing else in this video, just try to understand that success comes down to one thing, and that's creating a lot of great designs. Most beginners give up after only creating a handful of products. Now tell me and be honest, would you rather buy from a shop like this, where it's just a few products and they all kind of have the same design, or a shop like this that has a much larger catalog of products and more variety between the designs? Although both of these shops are using very similar mockups, it's clear why the second shop has a lot more sales than the first one. Now, if you took this a step further, shops like this one have even larger catalogs of products and follow the best practices for using higher quality custom mockups. So it's no wonder why some shops like this are able to make all the sales. Fewer designs means fewer chances of posting a winning product. If you only make products with cats on them, only someone who likes cats can buy your products. But if you make products for people that like cats, along with all kinds of other niches, you'll naturally make more sales over time because more people can buy from you. Now, I've started and run a lot of shops, but there's really 3 of them that I would consider the most successful. Between those 3, on average, about 20% of the listings I post for sale actually end up selling. That means out of every 100 designs I create, only about 20 of them will sell. And when I was just getting started, that percentage was even lower because my products were much worse. More than 70% of the designs that I've created have never even sold. And out of the ones that do sell, probably 10 to 20% generate 90% of the income. Remember, if you only have 20 listings, how many sales per product per month do you need to actually hit your income goal? It's easy to get discouraged when your first few products flop, especially because creating and posting those first 20 take you more time than the next 80 are going to. Now, this is not a bug in the business, it's a feature. The first products you make and post for sale won't be good and they won't sell, but they do lay the groundwork for you to get better. Most ideas fail, even from experienced sellers, and winning products are rare, but when you post one, it has the chance to change your life. Don't stop at 5 or 10 designs. Aim for dozens or even hundreds and let the market reveal which ones are winners. Consistency and perseverance are the secret ingredient to print-on-demand success. Just on average, the shops that make the most sales each month are also the shops that have the most amount of listings. But that brings us to the next big mistake that I see all beginners making, which is being too much of a copycat. If a customer is looking for this, "it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine" mug, they have a lot of options to choose from. So why would they buy yours when you have no reviews and no social proof, when they could get it from an established shop that already has a lot of good customer reviews? Now, you're probably thinking, "Alec, don't big shops copy each other all the time? Isn't that how they're making all their sales?" Like I mentioned earlier, it's fine and actually important to take inspiration from your competitors. After all, that's how we're able to have multiple coffee shops and the world isn't just run by Starbucks. It's how we're able to have multiple car companies. The key is that you have to take what's already working and then add your own original twist. When you do this correctly, you'll be able to follow in the footsteps of success and create something original and profit from it, just like this shop has done. Not only are you able to make more sales when you create something original, but it's also the ethical path and it keeps you out of all kinds of trouble. When you have something original, customers are willing to look past the fact that you have no reviews and no social proof on your shop because you have something that they can't get anywhere else. Copycat shops risk trademark infringement, copyright violations, and even legal action, which means all of their effort could end up being a huge waste of time anyway. But that brings us to the next mistake that almost every beginner makes that causes them to fail, and that's not patching the hole in your boat. Selling print on demand on Etsy specifically is made a lot easier because of the simple analytics that they give you. Etsy gives you 3 basic metrics: views, visits, and conversions. Your print on demand shop starts out as a leaky boat, and these 3 metrics show you what's going wrong and how to fix it. Views are counted each time a customer sees your product in search results. Even brand new shops with 0 sales and 0 reviews will get views on their products because Etsy's always testing out which products to promote in their search algorithm. Now, a visit is counted anytime a customer clicks on your listing. This shows that the customer found an item relevant to their search and they were interested enough by the image to actually click on the listing. A conversion is anytime a customer favorites your product, adds it to cart, or buys it. If you're not getting any views, it's either because you don't have enough products or the SEO in your products isn't driving any search results. Or it's because your products were shown in search a few times, but customers didn't click on them, so Etsy stops recommending them. Basically, your products were bad. You control the views you get in 2 ways: by posting more listings and using great keywords that have low competition and high search volume. Now, if you're not getting visits on your products, then it's either because the keywords you're using aren't relevant to the product, which is unlikely, or it's because your image wasn't clickable. The best-selling print-on-demand products use large, clickable, bright, centered mockups, not the default mockups that come straight out of Printify. If you're getting views but you're not getting visits on your products, double check that your images look somewhat similar to the best-selling listings in your competitor shops. And double check the keywords you're using are actually relevant to the product design. Now, I've got an entire video covering exactly how to pick out keywords that drive organic sales. So you can check it out from the description after you've finished this video. Now, if people aren't favoriting your listings, adding them to cart, and buying them, then there's a few potential issues. It could be that your item is priced too high or too low. You can refer to how your competitors are pricing their products for reference. It could be that your first image looks really nice, but the rest of the images in the listing don't look so good. And ultimately, it could just be that your product design was bad and they just couldn't tell based on search results. Looking at these 3 simple analytics that Etsy gives you, you can figure out where the leak is in your boat and you can patch it. But that brings us to the next mistake that most beginners make that causes them to fail, and that's forgetting to optimize for mobile. I'll make this point quick because it's simple, but if you're using Etsy's organic search algorithm to help sell your print-on-demand products, in just one of my organic-only shops, the Etsy mobile app drives more than 2.5 times the traffic than the default Etsy search. Now, even though this data is a little bit skewed, it means that a ton of shoppers are using the mobile app and buying products on their phone. You probably run this business from a laptop or a desktop computer, and your products will look different on a mobile device than they do on your computer. I've created this mobile mockup so I can see what my products are going to look like in a simulated mobile search, but you can also just open the app on your phone to see what they look like yourself. Typically, the main thing I see is that the design or the mockup just isn't big enough in the search preview to actually get customers to click on it. But that brings us to the next mistake that almost all beginners make, and that's running paid ads too soon. Now look, ads are great because they help you make consistent sales over time without worrying about algorithm changes or overnight updates. You might have seen this video that I released at the beginning of the year where I grew a brand new shop to about $1,000 of profit a week in just about 3 weeks' time. The thing is, I did use Etsy ads to make those sales. The thing is, you can't just turn on ads and expect to make money. You have to do it strategically. This is why I always recommend going with a search engine optimized approach first to get some traffic and hopefully some sales on your products organically. And then once you're making some sales and you have some budget for it, then you can turn on ads to the listings that are already getting the most views, the most favorites, and the most orders. This keeps your best products in front of customers and avoids you wasting money on products that were never going to sell in the first place. In this example shop, I created over 155 listings and posted them for sale. They're all unique, they're all different with different keywords and images and mockups and titles, but roughly selling the exact same thing, just a custom pet portrait. And out of all of these listings, only about 5 of them made any sales. That's even worse than my typical 20% ratio. But once one of them would start getting views and favorites, that's when I would turn on the ads for that listing. This way, I didn't waste any money running ads to the 150 listings that were never going to sell in the first place. Running ads can absolutely add fuel to the fire, but only if there's already a fire. If you try to add fuel to a bucket of water, nothing happens. Once you start making organic sales, you can reinvest the profit into running paid ads to those same products. But until then, just save your money. But that brings us to the next mistake, which is arguably the one that causes the most beginners to actually fail, and that's not enjoying the process. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I started this business a long time ago, about 6 years ago, and I have made a good amount of money doing it. But something that I've noticed from the few hundred students that I've worked with one-on-one to help them actually grow their shop, the ones that make it are the ones that decide that they're going to enjoy working on the business. They enjoy showing up every day and putting in effort. This is a simple business model, but the learning curve you have to go through at the beginning and the time that it takes to actually become successful, that's what really makes it difficult. I wouldn't have been successful if I hadn't been consistent for over 6 months, even while not seeing much result. Now, I think you can reach success a lot sooner because there's much better information now and better systems that you can use to get to that point. But ultimately, you still have to put the work in. And if you don't enjoy the process, you'll probably end up giving up like 90% of sellers do. I hope that this was helpful.